Today I am going to show you how to make a Boo Boo Buddy. Boo Boo Buddies can be used to heal boo-boos, or they can just be fun friends to play with. We will need some socks, some buttons, a darning needle and some needlework thread, some rice, or some dried beans. Let's get started. First, you can see that with a darning needle, it's fairly dull on the end and has a large eye. The needlework thread will be easily threaded through the eye of this needle. Next, instead of having our sock folded side to side, we are going to fold our sock front to back. We're going to lay it flat, turn it over, and we're going to cut a semicircle around the heel to create the ears of our Boo Boo Buddy. Sometimes this step can be best done by an adult. There. Now we have the shape of our Boo Boo Buddy. Next, we will take our thread and holding the end of the thread, we will pull it out and spread our arms so that we have the length of thread that we need for our Boo Boo Buddy. This would be about 1 meter. Again, we'll use our sharp scissors to make the cut. Now we are going to thread our needle. You can see that the end of the thread, if it is frayed, you might want to wet it to make it nice and smooth and easy to thread through the eye. Now what we'll need to do is pull the thread all the way through until we get about the middle of the thread. This way we want both ends of the thread to meet. Next, we will press those ends together. We are going to wrap it around our finger, our index finger, until we make an X. And we're going to use our thumb to roll it down, pinch with our middle finger and thumb, pull to make the perfect knot. This knot will prevent the thread from sliding right on through so that you'll get your stitch. Next, we select 2 buttons. Now the darning needle is a little thick, so you'll need to make sure that the holes of the button are big enough so that that darning needle can fit through. We start by holding the button in the position on the front of our Boo Boo Buddy where we would like it to be. Next, we look on the inside of our sock. Now we aren't going to make our stitch through both sides of the sock, just the front side. You can see I put a little bit of the needle through, I find the hole in the button, and now I need to make sure I pull this thread all the way through until that knot is at the very base of our stitch. Then you take your needle and put it through the other buttonhole. Being careful only to stitch through the front side of our Boo Boo Buddy, we pull it all the way through and now we have our stitch. We are going to need to do this another 2 or 3 times to make a nice strong button stitch. So we take it through the first hole of the button, back through the other side, other hole of the button, all the way through each time, another time, only through the front side of the sock, all the way through. And once you've done this a few times and you have a nice secure strong stitch for your button, this is how you're going to tie off. Next to the last stitch, you will take just a little bit of that fabric with the tip of your needle. See, just a little bit there, right beside the last stitch. I'm going to pull it through and I'm going to pull until I get a loop. Before I close the stitch, I put my needle through the middle of that loop. And now as I pull through, you can see that a knot is going to form when I pull it tight. There it is. I'm going to do this one more time to make sure my button doesn't fall off. Right through a little tiny bit of the fabric right next to my last stitch. I pull it through, but I don't close it. I wait, put it through the middle of the loop and pull all the way through, whoopsie, until I have a nice tight knot. Then I'll take my scissors, cut it off near the knot, and there we go. There is our first button. Every time I cut the stitch, I have to create a new knot at the end of my thread. I do it the same way by making an X, rolling it down, pinching, pulling, and there's my perfect knot. Now, with a 4-hole button, you need to do the stitch a little differently. So we start it the same way as we did with our 2-hole button. We go through the middle of the sock, poke the needle through just a little bit, find the hole and pull it through. But this time I'm going to go across and stitch through diagonally and pull it through. There we are. Now I'm going to insert my needle through the middle of the sock and find one of the empty buttons. And then I'm going to go across to the other hole on the other side, diagonally, pull it through. And again, I'm going to want to do this a couple more times just to make sure that I have a nice secure stitch on my button and that it won't fall off. I'm going to tie it off in the same way I did with the other button, grabbing just a little bit of that fabric with the tip of my needle, pulling through, leaving a little loop in through the loop and pulling it tight. Here's my knot. Once more to make sure that knot stays secure, through the loop and close it up. Now I can use my scissors to cut off the thread. And there we are. My Boo Boo Buddy has eyes. Anytime I snip with the scissors, I need to make a new knot. And now you know how. Now I'm going to flip my Boo Boo Buddy inside out. I'm going to line up the edges of the end with the Boo Boo Buddy's ears. And now I'm going to start stitching across the top of my Boo Boo Buddy. I'm going to start at the very end, pulling it all the way through, and then I'm going to make my next stitch a little bit close to the other stitch. I don't want my stitches to be too wide because the rice will fall out. So just about 3 or 4 millimeters to the side, and then back through the other side, making sure that I'm getting both sides of the sock because I'm closing it up. Back and forth, little stitches. Back and forth. And at this point, you can see if your stitches are too big, you might need to make some adjustments. Making sure that each time you pass through both sides of the sock, you pull the thread all the way through so that you get a nice secure stitch. Now I'm not going to stitch all the way. I'm going to stop when there is just about 2 centimeters left on the top. There we are. You can see my stitches are nice and even all the way across the top. But now, before I fill it with rice or beans, I have to flip that back inside right through that little hole. So I use my fingers to push the fabric through that little hole. Don't worry about your threads, you can tighten them up again later. All the way through, and then I use my fingers through that hole again to smooth out all of the little pockets inside my Boo Boo Buddy. Oh, there's his other little ear. And there we go. This is where I'm going to put the rice in. I'm going to use a funnel. Stick the end of the funnel through that little hole. And then I'm going to pour the beans into the top of the funnel. And you can see that little Boo Boo Buddy filling up. Sometimes the funnel gets a little clogged and you need to use a pencil or shake it a little bit just to get those little pieces of beans or rice moving. Shake, shake, shake. And you don't want to overstuff your Boo Boo Buddy. So once you get to the eyes, then you can stop pouring your rice or your beans. So once I'm satisfied with the amount of beans or rice I put in there, now I'm going to close up that hole by making a few more stitches, nice and close to each other, zigzagging through both sides of the sock. And once I reach the very tip of his other ear, I'm going to tie off my thread the same way I did every other time. I'm going to catch a little bit of the thread beside my last stitch. It's going to be a little tricky there. Wait until I got my loop, put my needle through the loop, pull tight on that little knot, and I'm going to do it one more time. And then I'm going to snip off the thread. And here's my new little friend. I think my little friend needs a smile. So with my remaining thread, I tied a knot at the end of it like I did every time. And now I'm going to pull right through the front of my Boo Boo Buddy. But this time, with every stitch, I'm going to put the stitch back in where the other one came out, going over and looping over and over and over. And this is how we cross stitch. I'm going to make my stitches in a curve. You can see my Boo Boo Buddy's already starting to be happier. This is a step that you can also do at the same time as your buttons. There we go. And now I'm going to one more stitch. There we go. And this time I'm going to put the stitch up through my last stitch where it came out. There, that's good. Now I'm going to tie off, as I did with every other part of my Boo Boo Buddy. In through the loop, pull tight on that knot, doing it twice. Oh, running out of thread there. There we go, pulling tight. And snip. There we go. Now all of my other Boo Boo Buddies have a new friend to play with. Boo Boo Buddies can be placed in the freezer to become cool to heal boo-boos. Simply take it out of the freezer and put it on the wound and it'll feel all better. Boo Boo Buddies also make fantastic gifts.